My name is Gail Ferguson, and welcome to Conversations, the Journey, Feet of Our Elders. Today we are here with Miss Georgia Elizabeth Brown Bentley. Miss Bentley, hi.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
I'm awesome. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good. So I know that I got to speak briefly with you earlier today, but we're going to pretend we don't know each other at all. And with Conversations, the Journey, one of the things that we like to start with is your origin story.
Okay.
And you've written that out for me, but now we would like for you to memorialize it, and we're going to do it here on this program together. So tell us a little bit about where you were born, when you were born, and some of your family members.
Some of my family. My name is Georgia Elizabeth Brown Bentley.
Mm-hmm.
I was born in Charlotte, North Carolina, June 20th, 1924. And as far as I know, I was reared in New York City by my grandmother. And I do not know too much about my mother and father because I was not around them as I was growing up. It was my grandmother and an aunt that I was raised with.
Okay.
And I was educated in New York City, went to public school, I went to Catholic high school, Archbishop Hughes Memorial High School.
Mm-hmm.
I graduated with honors, came out 18. My sister, I had one sister,
Mm-hmm.
Lillian, and she had left to go to Jersey, but she never came back. So when I first heard from her, she had already joined the Army, which was the WAC, the WAAC.
Mm-hmm. Before you get too far, now hold that in your memory, because I know you have excellent memory.
Yes.
I want to go back to the little girl, Georgia.
When I was a little girl?
Yeah, what did the house look like?
Girl,
Where did you live?
at the age of 5. I'll go back that far.
Okay.
Each picture, each story I'm telling you, I can see myself there.
Mm-hmm. Give us the picture.
I'm there, right there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 5 years old. I broke this finger.
Mm-hmm.
I was in the first grade.
Mm-hmm.
And when I looked, it was a lizard. I was trying to lock a Yale lock on a door, and my foot slipped, and my finger was in the hook of the Yale lock. I broke this finger. I saw all this red blood.
Mm-hmm.
For 5 years of age, I jumped down. I started running because I always said I thought I could outrun the blood, not realizing that this blood is in my blood.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I heard my grandmother screaming, "Catch her, catch her." So every time I look back, this blood is with me.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought about running this blood. So they threw a white sheet over me to catch me so they could take me to the hospital. And when I came to, my finger was in a cast. I couldn't write with my right hand. So I had to learn everything to do with my left side. That's why a lot of people thought that I was left-hand, but I was really right-hand.
Okay. You were in school at that time?
I am still deathly afraid of blood.
Blood.
And needles. Deathly afraid of them.
So that was your first introduction to yourself, that you were afraid of blood.
Yes.
Okay.
And
Tell me about your neighborhood.
my neighborhood,
Yeah.
I lived on Sugar Hill. That was in New York.
Mm-hmm.
We lived on Sugar Hill, 26 St. Nicholas Place.
Okay.
Across the street, Count Basie had an apartment over there. They were like private houses.
Mm-hmm.
They used to rehearse over there. So I was able to, and I always loved piano.
Mm-hmm.
And I always wanted to play piano, in which I did. And I used to go over there and watch them rehearse.
Wow.
We had everything in the neighborhood. We had our own hospital, and we had the buildings from 150th Street to 155th Street on St. Nicholas Place.
Okay.
We had St. Nicholas Avenue and St. Nicholas Place. My neighborhood I used to shoot marbles with the boys because the girls used to argue too much. You know, they were always, words were. The boys were having more fun than the girls. So I decided I'd rather play with the boys than the girls. This way you gain respect also. And then you learn a lot because you learn how to protect yourself.
Was all of this almost like an only child, since at this point had your sister already left, or was she there as well?
At this age, my sister was doing her own thing.
Okay.
We didn't associate with the same group because we had to play with children of our own age. We were not allowed to play with teenagers. If you're 7 or 8, you're not allowed to play with teenagers.
It's a good rule.
So that was what we had to do. And when the street lights came on, we had to be in the house.
Okay.
We had to be in bed by 8 o'clock. 9 o'clock, everything went off.
What was your favorite dish that your grandmother
My favorite
cooked
dish
when you were
was
little?
macaroni and cheese.
Okay.
I love macaroni and cheese. That was my favorite dish.
Did you learn to cook from your grandmother?
I
Or?
learned to cook just like my grandmother, but better from my father because my father was part Portuguese, and we learned to eat Mexican food, Spanish food, and seasoned food, peppers, and stuff of that sort.
Okay.
But most of my cooking I learned from my grandmother.
Okay.
My grandmother was my world.
So you grew up with some of the most beautiful music, the foundation of our music. I mean, Count Basie.
Yes.
And put us in that room as a child. What does it look like?
He had his piano, the baby grand. I'm in his house now because he's on the first floor, and he used to open the doors. And I love the alto sax, and I always wanted to play an instrument, but I never learned to play the instrument. I only learned to play the piano.
Okay.
And I had a cousin that went to Fisk University, and she was teaching us singing also. And from the age of 7, 8, we used to go to church every Wednesday with my grandmother to prayer meeting. And there we'd sing and stuff of that sort.
Okay.
But we had to go to church.
Okay. Alrighty. So thank you for that. I think I'm seeing that scene with you. And you said New York City, but what is the borough? Is it Harlem? Is it what part
above 145th Street is not considered Harlem. Below 145th, that's in the valley.
Okay.
The children down there didn't like the kids that lived on St. Nicholas Place where we lived because they said we were snobby. But it's not so because most of my friends lived in the valley.
Okay.
I always went for the underdog. I never went for people that, high fluting or think they had more than someone else because I always wanted to share what I had with someone else. And this is where I lived. Most of my friends were in the valley. So they had to take me in the valley, and I introduced me to quite a few of the children there because some of them would belong to my school. So this is how we got along.
Tell me the name of your grandmother.
My grandmother, her name is Lily Adams.
Lily Adams.
And she was a Williams. But when she married, she became an Adams.
And your sister's named after her?
My sister was named after my grandmother.
Okay.
My maternal mother, I was named after my paternal mother, whose name was Georgetta, and they named me Georgia.
Okay, beautiful. Any more that you'd like to share about your aunt and your grandmother that raised you?
My aunt, we didn't get along too well because she didn't treat her mother correct, and then when she called her mother a name, it did something to me as a child that really hurt me, and I just lost all interest in her. I didn't want her to do anything more for me. I go to my grandmother for everything. But my sister would go with me to find out the things that I'd like, and I found out that she was telling my aunt, so I stopped going with her, and then I started to just go by myself.
You had a very strong presence even as a young child then.
Yes.
Yeah, very nice.
Yes.
Okay, so let's expound more on that. So we learned something about your early life, your family, a little bit about your neighborhood. How about the people that shaped you when you were young?
People that shaped me, I didn't go anywhere. I stayed close to home because I felt that I was protecting my grandmother, because little things that people do, and I used to watch everything. I wouldn't talk much. I used to just hold it inside. And then I would speak to my grandmother because she used to have tears running down her face. And I thought she was crying, in which she was, but she told me that her eyes were weak. But I knew her heart was broken. And I used to stay with her a lot to try to soothe her. And I'd hold her hand and talk to her.
So that's a strong presence. How about your absence of your mother? Did that affect you in any way?
The absence of my mother? No.
Okay.
No, because she was like a stranger to me. She wanted me to call her mother, but I couldn't because she hadn't been a mother to me. She only come to see us on her time, not the time that we needed her. And older people, they're only going to tell you so much about life and what you expect in life. And but my mother was 17 years old, and my father was 19. So they had no time for us, for real.
Okay.
So I stayed with my grandmother through all my school because she used to be a teacher also. And she used to help us with our homework right through school.
Okay.
And I did the same thing that she taught me to do. I always wanted to help someone else.
So you did your grade school, high school there in New York City?
Yes, I did very well. In grade school and high school, I did well. I was an A student. I always studied. Learning wasn't hard for me. It just seemed to have come, sort of easy. I didn't have a problem in either class.
Okay. Give me a visual of what was going on. I don't want to say so much in the political world, but among us, Black people. What was happening in the world that affected you at that time, the young teenage Georgia?
I can't, because there was no segregation. We all played together. And no one spoke of this black and white business because we all played together as one.
Okay.
That's why, even in my teenage years, I was learning more about slavery because they didn't teach it in Catholic school. And it really hurt. Even today, when I hear about it, I cry because they went through a lot, but I don't know too much, and I can't talk too much about Black and white people because to me, we're all the same.
Okay.
We're God's children.
Okay. And tell me about Catholic school.
Catholic school is tough. You really, really have to put it to Catholic school. They make sure you're not paying your money to waste time. You really learn. I went to this school. I enjoyed this school. And the nuns, they were really, really tough on you.
Okay.
And they taught you how to, when you grow up, how to become young women, how you're supposed to, act in public. And
was your grandmother tough on you?
Huh?
Your grandmother, was she tough on you?
No, I never. Okay. She never had to hit me. All she had to do was look at me. My grandmother's hands were sharp as razors. When she popped you, you felt it.
Okay.
But she never, I look at those hands, I said, nope. She never touched me.
You learned quickly.
Yep.
Excellent, excellent. Any more about that time and era that you want to share?
No.
Okay. All right. So take us into college. Did you go
to college? Yes. I went to a Catholic college, and it was like going to high school. It was like a repeat of my 12th grade.
Okay.
Because it was so easy. I really thought I was in high school again. Because you take 12 credits a semester, which wasn't enough for me. I took 18 credits a semester. And I took psychology, sociology, the human resource, because I didn't know whether I wanted to go into teaching psychology from birth to gerontology, or whether I wanted to go into social work.
Okay.
But I wanted to deal more with the elderly people, because I felt that the elderly were being left out and they weren't being treated correctly. Because the younger people do not respect elderly people anymore. They seem to push them aside as if they're nobody. But they fail to remember that if it wasn't for the elderly, they wouldn't be where they are today.
Were you at home still when you were in college? Did you still live with your grandmother at that
Home
time?
student.
No, but did you still live at home with your grandmother
I was
while in college?
No. When I went to college, I had already married. I had 5 children. I had 3 boys and 2 girls.
Okay.
I gave each of my children a chance to go to college if they wanted to. They went as far as they wanted to. And when they had completed, I said, "Have you finished?" They said, "Yeah, we don't think we're going anymore." So I said, "So good. Now it's time for me." So I went to college at the age, I think it was between 64, 65. I went to college and I graduated with honors. I received my Bachelor of Arts in Liberal Arts, and I enjoyed it.
Now, that's an incredible story. We're going to come back to that.
Okay.
I cannot skate over the fact that you're a mother of 5 children. You're married young.
Yes.
You're in college. So, what age did you get married? What age did you get married?
I got married at the age of 24.
Okay.
And I wanted to have all of my children before I reached the age of 30, because I wanted to be able to roll with them on the floor, go with them to the park,
Okay.
and play with my kids.
Yeah.
And sure enough, my last child was born. I was 30 years old. She's 68 years old today.
Did you marry for love?
No.
See, now we're about to hear the story. Come on now.
I married because this man he's running me down. I would be late for school. I was in college when I moved to Columbus, Ohio. That's where I was married.
Okay.
And that's where my first 2 children were born.
All right.
In Columbus, Ohio. But I didn't like Columbus, Ohio, because that was back in 47 when I went to Columbus, and they were just getting over this segregation, in which I didn't know about. So when I got on the bus, the lady was sitting, on the edge. So I was saying, excuse me, because I wanted to get over by the window. There was the only seat there. So I stepped over this lady to get to my seat. So one of the girls yelled out, she says, "Georgia." She said, "You're going to start a riot on this bus?" So I asked her, I said, "What do you mean start a riot?" So they said, "This lady don't want to move to let a colored person sit down next to her." I said, "Well, I'm sorry." I said, "But I'm sitting now and I'm not getting up." So I stayed there.
What year was that?
This was in 1947
Okay.
in Columbus, Ohio.
Okay.
Because the black people in Columbus segregate themselves by color. You belong to this group if you're light skinned, if you're brown skinned. So I'm saying, well, how do they expect to get over this if they're segregating their own selves? They're not coming together as one. So I didn't bother too much. I mostly stayed to myself and observed, because I wanted to see how people react.
Okay.
And this is the way I lived my life. I observed a lot. I didn't talk much, but I would observe the way the people would mingle among themselves and how they would treat one another.
Have you written a book?
No, my children wanted me to,
Yeah.
but I didn't.
I love your perspective. I think you should write something.
Thank you.
So tell me, you 5 children. You said 3 sons.
I had 3 boys
Uh-huh.
and 2 girls.
Okay, their names.
Their names. My first boy was Melvin. That was my love child.
Okay.
That was the man I loved.
I
That I had this child,
Yeah.
and that was the first encounter with that. I didn't like it, but it was there, so I had to accept it. Then I had my first child with my marriage was Kenneth, who is now in the hospital. He had a stroke.
Oh, okay.
He's in TLC now. That's who I was living with. My next boy was Donald. I don't know how he died. He just blew up. I don't know how he died. They said he blew up like a balloon. And then my other daughter, my first oldest child, died from COPD. And now my 5th child is in New York, Sheila, 68. But I didn't tell you, my first girl is named Joanne.
Joanne. Okay.
Yes. And my last girl is named Sheila.
Sheila.
Yes.
Okay. Wow. You've navigated a lot.
Yes.
You definitely have to write that book. Okay, I need to move on to the next area for Conversations, the Journey. So you touched on this a little bit. What is, in terms of a career, or seeing yourself in a career, what did you want to be?
I wanted to be a nurse.
Okay.
That's why I went into, well, this is going to bring me back to the Army. Army.
You can talk about it.
So when I went in the service, I went into the Army Medical Corps. And I had my basic training in Des Moines, Iowa. This is the way I was able to communicate with my sister, because that's where my sister was stationed. And I hadn't seen her in 3 years.
Okay.
So when I went in the service, I was almost a person who couldn't keep their mouth shut. I always had to say something, whether it was good or the way.
Okay.
But when we got on the base, we had this sergeant and staff sergeant. And you know how cocky people can be when they get a little position?
Yep.
And she said, I heard you girls were coming from New York. I can lace your boots and I can unlace them too. And me, with my smart mouth, I said, let me see you.
What?
So she says, she was trying to figure, what is your name? She said, is your name Marie? I said, no, my name is not Marie. But in the meantime, I saw a lieutenant stepping up behind her. And the lieutenant says, we are looking for a Georgia Brown. Did she come in on this group? And it was me.
Yeah.
So that got me out of that position.
That was divine order right there, but go ahead.
She said, we were taught in the service, the Army doesn't make you. You are in the Army what you were in civilian life, which is
They
so
shouldn't have
true.
told you that, because you
so
already
true.
came strong. Yeah.
Yes.
How old were you
How old am I?
at that time when you
I
were
was
the story?
21.
Okay.
21.
Wow. Excellent. Excellent. So tell me about any, other than the fact that I know you didn't like the way that they used their authority over you. What other difficulty or struggle was there while you were in the Army?
In the Army? I didn't have any struggles. I got along practically with everyone.
Okay.
It's like I tell people today, I can get along with the devil as long as they don't touch me. I'm not worried about anybody. My trust is in God. I walk with His hand in my head. And I feel it in my heart. I'm not afraid of anything.
That's beautiful. What were your best times then during the Army?
My best time in the service, cleaning the boys. These were young boys who had got wounded I worked at Halloran General Hospital in Staten Island, New York. That's where I was stationed.
Okay.
That's where I was discharged in New Jersey, Fort Dix, New Jersey. And my biggest and happiest moments, cleaning these boys, getting their broken arms, getting their plasters changed, and stuff of that sort, keeping them together. But what turned me against it was, and I said I would never want to go to a veterans hospital, was when I heard the doctors say, these boys are hollering, help me, help me. I wanted to get to those kids. And they said, oh, just give him a sugar pill. Psych him out and make him think he's had a pain pill. That went deep in my heart. How are you going to give someone who's fought for your country, come back wounded, a sugar pill, so they would think it was a pain pill?
Are these black and white soldiers? Or
Yes, yes.
both black and white?
Yes, black and white. And when I heard that, never. I said, how can I trust a doctor to give me something if you're going to give me a sugar pill just to shut me up from well? I couldn't understand that.
Yeah.
And it stayed with me. That's why, like, I could see these boys on the ship. They were piled up, like, oh man. I just can't imagine the way they were packed up on the boat. And the Red Cross would meet the boat and we would take them off and put them in the hospital for treatment.
So you were a healer. That was the thing that you loved to do. Yeah, that's beautiful. So, so the question is, did you achieve your goals? I know you said you wanted to do nursing, but then
No.
blood and needles stopped you from going that far. Yeah.
Yes. I went to practical nursing school.
Right.
I became a practical nurse. I go out like a visiting nurse.
Yes.
Because during the years that I was growing up, the visiting nurses used to wear all blue, like this color blue, and they had like either orange. It would say visiting nurses. They used to visit your home.
Okay.
And so I said, well, I could do that. But I always wanted to help people, children, because kids, you see them run in the streets, you never see them go in to eat and stuff of that sort. And I used to cook. And I used to bring these kids home to eat with my children. I used to comb their hair. I give my kids a bath. I give them a bath. I put my clothes on them and send them home with their little clothes and tell their parents, that they had the cleaning and they had been fed.
Okay.
So this is where I had children at my house all the time that did not belong to me. But I would feed them, help them with their homework, and all of that sort of thing. I was always doing something for somebody.
Now, where was that? What city was that in?
New York.
In New York.
Yes.
So some of the children that maybe their parents didn't have rules for them, they just ran out and they were out at late.
Yes. And they started going in, like when we would go in, when the lights come on, I better be upstairs or else. But I get upstairs.
You also mentioned that you were in Girl Scouts.
Yeah, the Girl Scouts.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
To make cookies, and we went on trips, field trips, to gain your badges.
Yep.
And I stayed in so long that I began to teach. And then I would teach not only Girl Scout, but Sunday school class in church. I used to teach that too. But that's where we were, to take up our time, be something useful, do something good for your life, instead of staying in the street.
Okay, so you spent your time then as a nurse practitioner, or pardon me, that's not the term you used. Tell me.
Or what?
Registered nurse.
Oh, practical nurse?
Practical nurse, I apologize.
That's going to homes.
Yep.
Visiting homes.
How long did you do that?
Helping people. The whole 9 months that I was practicing, we had to visit because you had to make a report on each person. You learn to do the same things practically that a registered nurse would do, except the needles And then if you say in, I went 2 classes where I had become to the place where I could give needles, but I wouldn't. So, but I graduated. I graduated with honors too.
Now, was that a career for you for a while? Did
I
you?
wanted to be a nurse. I really wanted to.
Okay.
I said if I could get around it, I would have been.
The needle? Just the needle?
Yeah, and the blood.
Okay.
I don't like blood today. When I have to have a shot, I'm like this. That's why I'm still afraid of needles and blood.
While you were rearing your children, did you work during that time, or were you
Children?
were you at home with your children, or did you work?
My children? I worked
Okay.
until I stayed married for 11 years. So I figured, you walk into marriage, that I could walk out of marriage. I never got a divorce.
Okay.
I just walked in, I walked out.
I know that's right. All right. I understand.
So I went to work, and I was seeking. I went to many jobs. I worked in the garment district of New York, and that was learning sizing. And from there, well, I had gone to business college in Ohio when I was there, because you learn everything. It's like no machines, no artificial, nothing. This came from you. The machines, work machines, accounting, and all of that source. I worked in a real estate office, Progressive Commercial real estate office for 5 years. I got tired of that. I'm still looking. I'm not satisfied. Then I went to Julie Research Laboratory, and they made resistors for the Jupiter. And I was the last one. I was a tester. And I mailed them out. I would test the last resistors to leave our facility to be sent out to airplanes, for airplanes to be made. And the resistors to be made for the Jupiter.
Nice.
And I think that's the last job I had before the doctor stopped me from working, because my pressure, they couldn't control my pressure. So
Your
they
blood
stopped
pressure.
me from working. Yes.
Okay.
So, and then that's why I was able to be home with my children. And then I raised my grands. I raised my great-grands. And then I ended with great-great-great-grands.
How many grands do you have?
Gosh, it's about 18.
Okay.
or
And great
more,
grands?
Because I have children I haven't seen since I've been in Nevada. And I've been here for over 12 years.
Okay.
So I have children I don't even know.
You mean grands or great grands?
And
Yeah,
my
yeah.
grandchildren.
I understand. Well, maybe they'll get to see you since we're recording you today. How do you feel about this?
I feel good.
Good.
I feel good. It's a little strange, but hey, I feel okay.
Okay. Tell me who were your mentors throughout your life?
My first mentor is my good Lord above.
Okay.
I trust him. I adore him. And my grandmother, I put in second place because she's right behind him. I adore that lady. I really did. And my heart goes out to older people and all the little children that I can.
So your heart goes out to them, meaning you wish you could just put your arms out and bring them all, and show them your love?
Yes.
Okay. I feel that, just like God.
Makes me feel good.
Thank you. So, hold on, let me catch up with myself. So one of the questions then that we ask in conversations is, in terms of your mentors, what did they teach you?
My mentors, they teach me how to respect yourself first before you can do anything for anyone. You have to make check of yourself before you can go to help anyone. And it teaches you how to, I don't know, it's just something that came natural to me. It just seems like it's just there. Sometimes you turn around and you look and you see things that wasn't there, and you wonder how it happened.
Mm-hmm.
But you just take care of it. You don't question it. You just do what you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I always feel that children always need something done. There's always a child that's left out that you have to pull into your fold. Mm-hmm. And then you teach children love. You have to teach that from the day they say no. When they say their first word, start training them. Don't wait and don't talk baby talk. Talk. Mm-hmm. Talk to them. These children will talk and they'll learn quicker. Mm-hmm. Instead of that da. Say daddy. Let them pick that word up and use it their own way. Mm-hmm. And then they will hold on to it. And they'll teach another child. Each one teaches one. And that's the way I feel about it.
You had, in your writing to me, you mentioned that you were taught to mind your business.
Yes.
Who taught you that?
That my grandmother.
Okay.
Because there are people that you go to help that will insult you. Because I didn't ask for your help. You know how people are. Mm-hmm. So before you become, before they hurt you, unless they ask for help, keep your mouth shut. Keep your ears clean and your eyes open. Because if you ask questions, then you can answer. Mm-hmm. I wanted to help, but they refused it. Because, a lot of people say she saw it, but she didn't do nothing.
Right.
You
see that all the time.
Yeah. So you're skeptical of helping anyone. Mm-hmm. And don't open your mouth, please. Because people can make sense out of nonsense. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to become in that situation. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So my grandmother always told me, mind your own business.
So my next question would be, what advice would you pass on to the next generation? You've given us some of that all along the way. Mm-hmm. You sprinkled it in.
Yep.
Expound on that. Give me a little bit more. What?
The next generation?
Yes.
This next generation is in trouble because they're not using their own minds. Mm. These computers have gotten, these kids are lazy. Mm-hmm. And those with computers don't want to learn. I would get rid of those computers. I would really make these children use what God gave them. They're forgetting they have a brain of their own. Use it instead of using someone else's thoughts. Where are your thoughts? What do you really want to do? Mm-hmm. Because the thoughts of someone else certainly wasn't in your mind.
Right.
I would get rid of those computers and start from kindergarten up. Let these children use their own minds to find out, mm-hmm. because they'll never know themselves if they don't.
Yeah.
Because their beliefs belong to someone else.
It's taking away their creativity.
Yes.
Now, throughout your life, or specifically during your time in your later years, in your 60s when you went to college, did you use a computer at that time?
We had to do 6 months. Mm-hmm. I had to do it.
Okay.
And that's all I did.
Okay.
And I said, take it. I don't like it.
Right.
Because to push buttons and someone comes and told me something, that's not what I thought. It's not my own brain. That's something they thought. So you're telling me what you thought and I'm supposed to use it. I didn't accept it. But I did get an A+ in it.
I know that's right. Because
I don't like it. Yeah. I do not. That's why I don't even own a phone. I don't even know how to use those phones. I don't want it.
Well, you have peace in your life. Trust me. Without computers and a phone, peace.
Peace. Yes.
Yeah. So, I believe I'm at my last question, and this one is to give you the visual that you have all of the resources in the world in your hand, at your feet. What change would you make in the world?
The changes if I could stop this segregation, let the people come together. I don't know how. Let the slavery go. That's gone. Mm-hmm. Don't keep bringing it into everyday life. What happened back then, it's gone. We cannot repair what has already been done. But the people keep carrying it over and over into their little kids and stuff. Get that out of the way. Bring peace, bring happiness, bring joy into the world. Number one, get rid of those darn computers. Let the people use their own mind. Stop teaching your children hatred, because this is where they're getting it from. It's from the older people. Children are not born with hate. You're teaching them hate. Let these people go to school. Make them get an education. If you got children, if you're not educated, school doors are open. Go get yourself an education, so you'll be able to teach your children the proper way that they should teach other children. You know, it's too much hatred in this world. Too much. Not enough love. Not enough happiness. And people throw their feelings onto other people. It's not right. Bring happiness and joy. Praise God. Thank God. It's not your world. We're only living here on borrowed time. This is not our world. This world belongs to God. Find yourself a place to go that's going to help you, not someone that's going to hurt you.
To be grateful to be here.
Yes.
I don't know if we actually mentioned your age. Are you at the age yet where you going to tell us your age? Because you know women.
98?
Yes, 98. And your birthday is coming up.
Yes, June
What do you have?
20th.
June 20th. What do you have planned for that day?
What are my plans? Well, I always say, thank God for small favors. My hope is in Jesus Christ and righteousness. I want to be kind to everyone. I still wish that I was able to do for people. And it's hard when you are used to doing things for yourself, that you find that you need to turn to someone else to help you. But be grateful for what I have and happy. And I have a beautiful lady that takes care of me. And I'm happy. I'm happy.
That's
And I'm
incredible.
thankful that God spared me to live this age.
Yeah. And to share your wisdom with us. We thank you for that.
Thank you.
So I think we're pretty much done, unless you have anything else you'd like to say. That's all.
So,
You glad it's over? Okay. All righty. So we are ending Conversations the Journey, the Feet of Our Elders. And we thank you so much for being here with us. And can't wait to show the show to you. You're going to have to look at a TV to watch it, though. Or a computer. Or maybe a phone.
really?
You could choose one of the three, but yeah, I think that you'll be.
My hope is built on nothing less than Jesus Christ and
Yes, ma'am.
righteousness.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, thank you. Da-da-da-da. You have to say it's a wrap. Thank you.